great to be joined by these two gentlemen. Justin Perri, he does absolutely tremendous work over at Chalk Value Bets, and Anthony Dabbundo, he does absolutely tremendous work over at Action Network. Gentlemen, it is always great to get you aboard. And how about if we lead off by taking a look at what we're getting in football this week? And how about if we take a look at what is going to be the prevalent game on Thursday? Thursday Night Football between Saints and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars, they open up as a 3-point underdog early on during the week. If you want to go even further back, the look-ahead line was a pick-em, so this one has been a little bit all over the place. Saints are now a 1-point favorite. Total saying between 40 and 40.5. Anthony, I'll lead off with you on this. How do you view this game? Because I just interpret the betting line, and even though Trevor Lawrence is listed as questionable, I'd be very surprised if he does not go. But I just take a look at this spot, and it's hard for me to really trust in either of these teams, as both have had some strange results this year.
Yeah, I'm expecting this total to tick up a little bit more once Lawrence is in tomorrow. And I think if it gets to 41, I like the under. That's a key number for totals in the NFL. If you look at the box score from the win against Indianapolis last week, Jacksonville's offense was quite poor. They had less than 4 yards of play. Lawrence finished with a 0 EPA per play, just 233 total yards. Pretty much all of it was built on their defense. They came out in a pretty unique scheme and stayed in base defense the whole time, manned up defensively, and dared the Colts to beat them down the field. I think the game plan is kind of similar for the Jags defense, which looks legitimately improved to me. But again, still major question marks about this offense. That's with a healthy Trevor Lawrence. Even more questions if he's a little bit banged up, not 100%, which is what I'm expecting tomorrow. So I do like the under here. Again, though, I want that 41. It was 42.5 at the open. It went down all the way as low as 39. It ticked back up now that Lawrence is expected to play. I wouldn't be shocked if it gets back to 41 before kickoff tomorrow, and then, I'll grab the under.
Absolutely, and we have seen the primetime unders just be hitting like wildfire the last two seasons in general, and want to get your thoughts on this one as well, Justin, because it's such an interesting game with the Jaguars. They certainly have been all sorts of up and down, and for the New Orleans Saints, like what I've seen out of the defense, the offense, it's left something to be desired even when Derek Carr was fully healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have two potentially, recovering quarterbacks in this game. Derek Carr's shoulder has been an issue, especially in terms of getting that passing game going. There's been a couple weak games from that receiving core. Olave turned it on at the end of that last week's game, kind of got his receiving yards up a little bit, but I'm still a little bit concerned about this game in general. I think that the Saints have a lot of questions left to be answered, and the Jaguars look like a team that are ready to make another push towards the playoffs. Of course, coming off of a big game in London, maybe there's some difficulty. It's probably a little bit of a tough spot. But I'm not really too sold on these Saints. I know they do have a nice defense. They have not gone over yet this year. So very interesting thing to consider there in terms of what people are seeing on their numbers. I'm probably staying away from the total. It has come down a lot. I'm not really trying to play it. I would honestly lean over, but I don't really feel good about that at all. So I'll stay away. But yeah, I like the Jaguars to get it done. I think they're a very complete team. I do think their defense is probably something people aren't paying attention to, even though Calvin Ridley not really seeing the target share we're expecting. Christian Kirk has been very productive outside of that first week. So he's kind of leading that offense, maybe a little quietly, but they have a lot of weapons. Zay Jones still on the mend as well. He's a great red zone target. They've put it together pretty well. I really like this team. ETN is obviously killing it right now. I don't know how the Saints really keep them off the board for the whole day.
Yep, I do think that is going to be a challenge. And with Trevor Lawrence, a little bit of inconsistency this year, but all in all, like what I've seen there, and I do think that he should be out there on the field, and I do think that he should be able to deliver relatively good start. As joining me on the show, we've got Justin Perri, who does great work over at Chalk Value Bets, and Anthony Dabbundo does great work over at Action Network. And let's take a look at what is right now the lowest total on the board. That is this Falcons versus Buccaneers game, and I have a feeling a lot of people are stocked down on Desmond Ridder after what we saw from last week, and I frankly have never been stocked up on him. This is a line of 2.5 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, totals between 37 and 37.5. And Anthony, we'll throw this one to you first. How do you view this game? Because with the Falcons, I do think that they've got a little bit more of the better overall team, but if you're looking at the quarterback matchup, Baker Mayfield has played quite well this year, and I just have a tough time betting on Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, I came into the season lower than the market on the Falcons, but I actually think they're a little cheap here. This is a great teaser spot at 2.5, getting it up to 8.5. I'm still waiting. I haven't actually bet this game. I'm hoping it gets to 3 and I can grab some Falcons 3. If not, I'm still going to bet 2.5 come Sunday. I like to look at early down success rate versus late down success rate because early downs tend to be more predictive and more stable over the time and more of a harbinger of things to come. Whereas late downs can be kind of noisy. And if you look at this Tampa Bay offense heading into the bye, they were 31st in early down success rate, second to last ahead of only Pittsburgh. And they were getting by with Baker Mayfield making some real magic on third downs. Third down over expected. They were number in the top 5 in the league. So what happened against Detroit? They played a better defense and they really struggled to do anything. They can't run the ball. They're bottom 5 in rushing success rate, which is a major reason they haven't been able to run the ball and been good on early downs. And so it's been a lot of third down magic from Baker. I just don't know how long that is sustainable. Whereas I think Atlanta, if you look at their defense, they're starting to trend up in some key areas. They held Washington to less than 200 yards last week and less than 4 yards a play. I was pretty impressed by the showing. The offense moved the ball a lot. They just had some struggles in the red zone. That was an Atlanta team laying points. Now that I'm catching 2.5 in a division game, I like Atlanta here. I think they bounce back and get a win.
And I think the key for the Atlanta Falcons being able to get Bijan Robinson going as well, as it's been a little bit of a up and down season for him, but I do think that if they're going to be able to pull it out in this spot, he's going to need to be a big part of it, and I don't think that he's got a bad matchup, especially with what we've been seeing at the quarterback spot. And Justin, how do you view this game? Because I do think that that is the key for the Falcons. Getting the ball out of Desmond Ritter's hands, having it go to Robinson and Algier as well. He's been able to do a solid job in the backfield. I think that they make a 1-2 tandem that is very solid, and I think that if they're able to do that, if they're able to just make things manageable on third down for Desmond Ridder, that would be making it much more easy for the Falcons to be able to cover and win outright.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ritter is maybe not everyone's favorite quarterback right now, unless you're deep into the DFS scene and you probably like his prices still. I think the Falcons have a couple avenues here. I really like Drake London. I think that when you have a game where Bijan isn't going to be super successful, it's going to leave London very open. And I think we saw last week that Ritter is getting a little bit more comfortable trusting him, and he's going to be a great wide receiver in this league. It's just a matter of getting him those targets. So I'm feeling interesting about this game. Honestly, I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really going to rely on what we know that they are, which is those go routes to Mike Evans to make some of those big plays, to stretch the field a little bit and maybe open it up for their run game, which has not been successful, as we've talked about. So I know this is the lowest total because these NFC South games keep going slower and slower and slower. But I think this one maybe could surprise us. It's a low number. It could get there. And I think both these teams do have the ability to score. I kind of lean the favorite, honestly. I think that you need to parlay it with Mike Evans' success. Like, that's my edge in my opinion. Like, you need to look at Evans to be a major contributor. I don't think they win this if he's under his catches, if he's under his yards. He's their main target right now, and if not, like, it's probably going to be like Cade Otton. I just don't really trust their weapons. So if I'm not on the Falcons for just like the underdog value, I'm definitely looking for the Bucs with like a combination play.
Yep, and the only total that is really on par with this 37 to 37.5 is the Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders game, and we're probably going to be seeing a pair of backup quarterbacks in that game. And say what you will about these two quarterbacks, certainly a little bit of a higher quality there, and this should be some high quality football as well. As we got about 45 seconds for this one. It's the Dolphins and the Eagles. Totals between 51.5 and 52 with the Eagles laying 2. I know that you, Anthony, have a little bit of a play in this game. Take me through what you're looking at.
Well, red zone efficiency is down across the league. It's down 53% league-wide average. It's really, really bad, and it's made for a lot of field goals and a lot of unders. And the one team that has not impacted has been Miami, who's at 80% touchdown rate. That is unsustainable. There is regression coming there. The main thing here, a couple things. One, Lane Johnson's status for Philly is huge for their offense. When he's out, they're not as good. He's questionable here. Another thing, wind. 15-mile-an-hour forecasted winds here. I think it's going to be much tougher for Miami to execute its offense in a hostile environment, in bad conditions, and with the Eagles' run defense being very good.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.